Tapping in.
Are we live?
Good news.
Indeed.
We come bearing good news, man. Look, by a margin of 10 percentage points. And that's how these things happen, man. You know, final minutes, fourth quarter, game 7, buzzer beater. By a margin of 10 percentage points, the staff at JFK 8 and Amazon warehouse on Staten Island in New York opted to form the firm's first American union.
It happened. It happened. We've been covering Amazon on this podcast before. We've covered Tesla on this podcast before, highlighting over the COVID, especially some of the working conditions that the people were going through and just kind of the horrid work experience. I wonder, Miles, if all of this talking that we've done on Amazon and Tesla is what's been getting in the way of us being able to close some important things with them.
If it is, then we'll partner with Google. We ain't scared. What up? Nah, but I would take that. I would be happy if this reached Bezos and them, and that's why they were saying nah to the think big space. We could put it out there. I'll take it as a compliment. I'll take it as I'll charge it to the game of growth, right? But more importantly, as we talk about this conversation, Amazon formed a union. I'm ready to pop bottles and champagne and confetti, let confetti rain down. But Sway, what is a union?
So what a union is, Miles. But like that's what type of transition is that? Throw specific questions. I thought we were a lot smoother than that in our transitions. Since when do we start interviewing each other like this?
My bad, dude. I'm just because I had this moment where I realized, like, you know, sometimes where you're doing like you a bunch of things in your life line up, right? Like your interests, your hobbies, your workspace, all of that stuff lines up. When this story hit, it caught me after being like delved into a bunch of debates and literature about socialism, Marxism, communism, democratic socialism, the differences between all of those things and the mechanisms that define them. And so unions are a big part of that. And so when this story hit, I was like, oh man, look at the news lining up with how I'm spending my time and help me to understand. But I realized that almost all of how I was interpreting the story was due to the readings that I had just recently done. And I would have been like, what would be my understanding of this if I hadn't just been doing those readings, right? So as we explain for the homies, which is what we do, right? A union or a labor union or a trade union is an organized group of workers who unite to make decisions about conditions affecting their work, right? And the part where that hits home for us is typically that organizing is built around bringing some type of justice, financial safety, economic justice to the workplace, and you know, to the community at large.
So started in the 1900s in the US when there was huge commercialization of vehicles being made, the Ford factory, things like that. That's where you really started seeing the collective bargaining power of unions, and what you'd have just essentially it's like Miles said, a group of people getting together and forcing the company to make changes in ways that are more beneficial to employees. So much so that by 1960s, 85% of people in the U.S. were within unions. Now, over time, the union power and bandwidth has decreased slightly, especially now with these new age type of these new front running king of the markets. You know, Amazon, Facebook, Google, who do things by their own practice. So there's been a change in the way that unions are formed, which is why this comes as a particular type of success, because they've been trying to start unions in Amazon since 1998 when it was first using cell phone service, when it was first using call centers, right? And it's a seemingly the same type of battle led by this gentleman here, Chris Smalls. What they were saying is that, bro, they just need a little bit more break time. 20 minutes break time. 20 minutes is what they're asking for. 20 minutes break. Oh my goodness. Let's go get me fired up. 10 minutes break time. Increased salary to $15 per hour, which was not there before. And they also want to be allowed to attend the non-union abolishment meetings. Actual term.
Yeah, big facts. So what's important to take from everything my brother just delivered is that Amazon is very against the unionization of its workers. They argue that having a direct relationship with the company is what's best for our employees. Um, I would argue that having a direct relationship with the company is only best for the people that get mad money out that company, that have stocks and at the high level, right? I would say that sure, you want to have a relationship with your company, but you should also have a relationship with your coworkers and with the collective, right? This is a like they've gone really far in being anti-union. G, like, do you know?
It's wild.
Yo, like
It's wild.
they that statement just sounded real sweet, right? But they have gone. So Whole Foods, which is under Amazon, right? They sent them their whole entire Whole Foods employment fleet a 45-minute video on the evils of unions, right? And to help, the videos featured sections to help managers deal with potential unionizing. They put up signs all throughout Amazon displaying the evils of unionizing, right? And they encouraging employees to snitch on other employees who are forming groups and sitting in meetings. This is it's looking mighty Orwellian out here, bro. Like, it's looking crazy.
In the chats, we have Amazon equals Babylon plus overnight delivery. And depending on the item that you're buying, same day is quite convenient too. Same day is mighty convenient. So in this particular instance, this is the first U.S. union that's formed on Amazon, led by a gentleman named Chris Smalls. Chris Smalls had a what is accurately titled as a defamation campaign against him, which are things that happen all the time. You hear Richard Branson talking about that happening with him when British Airways, when he was launching Virgin Active, and British Airways spent $4 million calling this dude all sorts of pervs and hiring secret detectives to chase him around. That's real. That went to court. That's in the court papers, and British Airways had to apologize publicly. All to say, these types of things happen. Now it's coming out that Hillary Clinton was spying on Donald Trump. All to say, big corporate plays these types of games. So Chris Smalls, who is the leader, was said to be illiterate. You're said to be ignorant, and yeah, man, he had a large defamation campaign against him.
I hope you know they coming for us with all them same terms. Those guys are don't know what they're talking about. They're undereducated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Underqualified. Yeah. We're black, bruh. It's coming to show. But they could not stop my boy Chris Smalls, man. They tried to fire my mans. He came back to feed the workers, right? He hooked up with his homie, Derek Palmer, his collaborator. And they now are leading a union that represents over 8,000 workers who work at the same warehouse, right? You can do it. You can start a movement. These guys pride themselves, and in a lot of their interviews are talking about how they were just normal workers. They didn't consider themselves activists. They didn't consider themselves, about movements or social justice, but they looked at the environment, they looked at their circumstances, and decided they could change them. And now they've said they've been contacted by over 50 other sites all over the country that also want to unionize, and even outside of the country, right? In South Africa, India, Canada, Amazon is global, and globally the workers are reacting. Bringing it back to the U.S., there was actually another movement in Alabama to form a union that was even more, that included even a larger group of workers, right? People clearly want the opportunity to collectively bargain, and to be able to hold some type of power in the places that they work at.
So the fight does not stop here. They've unionized. That's great. And in the words of the great Dave Chappelle, congratulations. Now they come to get you. And that's exactly what is facing these guys. Amazon has already said to appeal that the union, saying that it was done under is that Chris Smalls and their campaign was in was against company policy. Uh, it goes quite far. So there's a lot of what's important to us to understand about a union is that unions are an organization of their own. They have corporate structures, they have leadership structures in there. So it really is almost a formation of an an advocacy company overnight, right? And it's quite a big task. And one of the things that Amazon was kind of banking on was that Chris Smalls being the person who's leading that movement would mean that um, that sort of responsibility or the ability to actually get this to pass through wouldn't happen because he's just a black dude with chains on. So what comes next after this is that there's the negotiation process that Amazon has to take on. Amazon has to be like, all right, cool. Are we willing to pay these guys $15 an hour? $15 an hour is not that much, but that's what they're fighting to get. Understanding that this union only is in one facility, so this can spread in different places. And Amazon has been able to get away with these types of things for a while because when they were releasing like, yo, we're coming into a different country, into a different state, we're shopping. They were literally shopping for states. They went to Staten Island, and Staten Island were like, no, this is a pro-union area. They packed up their HQ and they left, taking with them billions of dollars that they're going to build a headquarter over there, and decided to break it up into these small little 8,000 per types of centers, which is what allows them to be the second largest private employer in the U.S., employing close to 1 million people. Now, what's crazy is that 1 million of these people is unable to speak on behalf of any of the people with them, which is why this union is pretty much a good win towards something that can allow for people not to have to hold their peace so that they can neatly pack iPhone cases, bro. Come on.
Yeah, we're in this neatly pack iPhone cases.
No, Amazon be packaging it. They be boxing them up good.
Boxing them up good is the name of the episode for sure. But it's very encouraging to see this, right? But we should also acknowledge, like you said, that the fight continues, and it's a real uphill fight. The number of American workers who are represented by union drops every year, right? And reached a new low in 2021. Companies don't want this. Companies are incentivized against this, right? In a position where people need jobs and are willing to work for less than will sustain them because they gotta eat something. The ability for those workers to join together, to talk about what they're being paid, to talk about the facilities, to talk about their experience, to lean on each other, to document those things, form arguments, and bargain, negotiate on their own behalf is something that corporations just don't want to put up with, because if they don't have to, then everybody's on their own and they make more money. And in this country specifically, in the United States, we've been brainwashed is almost the word I want to use, to be so afraid of words of systems of thought that criticize capitalism. But when you hear me do that on this podcast, when you hear us do that on this podcast, it's because there is a tendency toward worker exploitation under this current system of capitalism that we have. And you're seeing people fight and take up arms against it in a variety of ways. And if you want to be educated about these systems, about unions, about what socialism means, minus big red scary flags and Mao and Stalin and all that stuff, but the mechanisms that actually can work. Then look up some of those terms that I was looking up. Look up unions, look up co-ops, look up limited equity housing co-ops, look up look up democratic socialism, look up social democracy, and get in tune.
And look up Yo Ops too. Look out Yo Ops.
Look out for Yo Ops.
Keep a lookout for Yo Ops. Quite importantly.